taking care of your financial literacy, right? And she was really referring to the book of The Psychology of Money. If you are a person who reads, I'm sure you've come across this book. If you've read books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you have definitely come across the Psychology of Money kind of a book, whether you read it or not. But it talks about how you think about money, and how you think about money is actually reflected on your actions, on how you spend, how you save, and how you invest. So we tend to be pressurized rather by looking at somebody's pockets, not even pockets, but by looking at someone at face value, making your analysis upon what you see without knowing what's actually behind, like what it actually took them to look that beautiful. And she was talking about how she works hard. She's a farmer. She has chickens. She has pigs. She has all kinds of vegetables planted. She sells her vegetables. There's a whole barter system exchange that happens in the space that she is in. So you, as somebody, otomojaza, because she is wearing a Chanel, Chanel, maybe like top or dress. Well, by the way, she wasn't. I'm just making an example. And you're gonna think, oh my god, she looks pretty. I need to look pretty as well. I need to go get myself a Chanel. I need to go get myself an iPhone. I need to go get myself a MacBook. But you don't really know that those things come from somewhere they were worked for, In this country, the top of the least conversation has been a conversation around youth unemployment. And if you are a youth and you live in this beautiful landlocked mountainous country of ours, how you spend money, how you attain money, how you keep money, and how you invest money is actually an important educational field that you need to step in. You need to literally be financially literate. Like, guys, saving R1 or choosing how you spend your R1 says a lot about what you're going to spend, or how you're going to spend the first 100,000 that you're going to make, the first 2,000 salary that you're going to get. Yes, how you spend R1 will definitely say a lot about the first big check that's above R1. How you're gonna spend that money is actually going to be reflected on how you spend a little bit more, because they say, sometimes people get lucky. They have, money, they acquire money, but you realize those people don't know how to keep the money. Like, you can get the wealth, but you don't know how to keep the wealth. You don't know how to make sure that you sustain the wealth. So being financially literate as a young person is also quite important, just as much as trying to find that first job is. Yes, it's exactly just as important. Anyway, we're sitting exactly 1 minute before we get into the hours of 10, where we're going to be stepping into the news for the day. There's one I am super excited to talk about. So let us go for a music break, and when I come back, we will definitely be getting into the news. But I want us to just jam to the song. This one is coming through from Tiger. This is Taste featuring Offset. Please enjoy this one. And economic corporations established on the 20th of May 2003. On Wednesday, President Boko is expected to visit the proposed site of the Lesotho-Botswana water transfer project in Mafeteng. His visit will culminate on Thursday, July 17th, with his attendance at the official celebration of His Majesty King Letsie III's 62nd birthday. He is expected to depart that afternoon. I nearly forgot that Thursday is a holiday. Of course, we're celebrating our king's birthday. Now, as for the visit, we love that, we're building connections as a country by speaking to prime ministers of the people, or rather as of the countries that are, Bahaisa, Lesotho, basically, right? Because the talk is, they're strengthening the relationship that Lesotho has with Botswana. And there's also a project that is going to be happening where a dam is going to be built in Mafeteng in order to supply Botswana with water. Now, my question was, we are focused on solving other countries' problems before we solve our problems. Don't get me wrong. I love building the relationships between the countries. It can benefit us in so many ways, of course. We're not going to be supplying them water for free. But how many areas in this country are suffering because there is lack of water? Like, let's just be realistic right now. This, like, Mafeteng has a water crisis. I don't know if it's public knowledge to each and every single one of you guys out there, but Mafeteng has a water crisis. There's a section in Mafeteng that has a water crisis. And it's not just Mafeteng. In Berea, people were, the community were like going on, battles with how they don't have water. They were promised to be supplied with water. There's some sort of like a tank or a reserve built for water, but it's not supplying them with water, and they're struggling. I think it's a Lekokwaneng. This is not a thing that is old. This is like new news, like last week news, basically. You understand? So how are we solving other countries' problems when we still have our own problems to take care of? Honestly, I don't know. Somebody has to run me through this. Somebody has to make me understand, because I don't know, man. I just don't get it. To be quite honest, I just don't get it how so many areas in our country don't have water. But when we get out there into the world and we talk about how we pride ourselves in our natural resources and how much water, like we have water in abundance, basically, right? But what is that water doing for the country if we have water but Lesotho people are still suffering? We have no water. How does that make sense? Like, somebody has to come here and help me understand the situation, because I don't. How are we fixing other countries' problems while neglecting our own water problems? Like, I don't mind our government working hand in hand with different countries or donating countries. Guys, there's so many donations and projects that are being launched by supporting countries like the EU, and there's so many projects that are, I think there was also another project up in the mountains where they were like just building taps, but there was a whole, like, guys, we have donations of about like 10 million. There's an article that I read sometime last week, if you guys can remember, where there was like a 10 million project that is meant to solve the highlands, not the highlands, but the remote areas in our country that have lack of water supply, right? And the project was basically what they do in the project is they build pipes that direct water to like a certain tap in a different I don't know in the village, right? In different villages in the remote areas, there would be like one tap that is meant to feed that community with water. That's basically what the project was being talked about, right? But when you realize this is all according to the funding that we get from different countries. This says we ourselves are still definitely in a water crisis. But when we get out there and when we share to the world of our pride in water, we pride ourselves with water, but our water is not doing anything for the people of Basotho. Not anything. It's barely doing anything. Because there's still yet so many people that are suffering with water. I don't know, but Scarfish Radio listeners, please, if you're listening, help me digest that. Help me understand at what angle we are looking at this, because that's the angle that I'm looking at, and I'm like, nah, no way. There's no way that people still don't have access to clean water, but we say we pride ourselves with water as a country. Something is not adding up. Something is not making sense there. For me, something is not making sense. So if you get it and you get where our government is looking at this in any angle, please help your girl out, okay? But moving along, we have other news coming straight through from our Sky of HD News channel on WhatsApp. So make sure that you follow that. The RSL detains undeclared barrels of second-hand goods imported from China. The Lesotho Revenue Service, RSL, has confirmed the detention of a large quantity of undeclared second-hand clothing, shoes, bags imported from China. The seizure took place during a routine inspection conducted last week, Thursday and Friday, at St. James Sports Ground, where importers had arranged to offload their consignments, I think that's how you say it, for customs clearance. According to RSL, the importers had declared a total of 269 barrels, comprising 232 barrels of clothing, 32 of shoes, and 5 of bags. However, the inspection revealed an additional 349 barrels that had not been declared. This included 137 barrels of clothing, 197 of shoes, and 15 of bags. The undeclared goods are in direct violation of the Customs and Excise Act number 10 of 1982 and regarded as an attempt to evade lawful duties and taxes. Only the declared items were released to buyers. The undeclared barrels were officially detained and transferred to RSL warehouse for further processing. The goods will remain in custody until the importers fully comply with legal requirements, including the payment of outstanding custom duties, value-added tax, and applicable penalties. RSL has urged all importers to declare their goods accurately to avoid penalties, delays, or confiscation. Confiscation. The authority retained its commitment to promoting a fair, legitimate trade and protest national revenue and support ethical business practice. Hey, you know, guys, as Basotho people, one thing that I've realized, when it comes to a business, I'm sorry to say this, but when it comes to our business, we like taking shortcuts. All right, we like taking shortcuts. Because we want to maximize the profits that we make. Now that is a crime, that deserves penalties, like the RSL, has pointed out that you can't evade tax. You need for everything that is imported from USA, China, South Africa, there needs to be a tax clearance. But how many of us, how many of us can honestly say that we've bought something from South Africa, and when we got to the border, we did the lawful thing by doing what is our duty?